Okay, hello everybody. Thanks for coming. Good morning. Buenos dias. My name is Mark Terry. I'm the Executive Director of the Youth Climate Report. I'm also a postdoctoral fellow at the Daudelet Institute for Global Health Research and the Faculty of Environmental Studies at York University in Toronto, Canada. We have a very special edition of the Youth Climate Report this year. As you can see, I have some special guests with me, and we'll get to them in a little bit. But first, what I want to do is give you a bit of background as to the Youth Climate Report and its the films that we curated this year. The goals of the project, there's 3 of them. The first one is to provide a visual data delivery system of new climate research from around the world to the delegates and negotiators attending the COP conferences. Also, to provide a voice for youth around the world so they may be heard at these COP conferences. And finally, to provide a voice to the global scientific community so their latest research will reach the environmental policymakers of the United Nations. Now, this is what the project looks like. It's a GIS map of the world, and you see all these little pins represented by movie cameras. Each one represents a film produced by a young person somewhere in the world. Right now, there are over 400 such youth videos, and I'll just give you a little look at the project. And of course, I can't. Let me see here. Okay, stand by. I'm just going to switch internet providers. The IFEMA one doesn't seem to be cooperating this morning. So we'll switch to plug and play. There we go, that's better. Okay, so this is it. This is a map of the world, and as you can see, we zoom in a little closer. We can see on a continental basis all the representations of videos made by students. And when we come all the way up to Canada, I want to single out one in particular. And this is the video made by my colleagues up here today. The way it works is you just simply click on the pin and you'll get a thumbnail of the video. Now the video I'm pointing to here is called Happening to Us. And this is the 20-minute feature film made by a group of Indigenous students from Tuktoyaktuk. That's a community in the Northwest Territories of Canada on the shores of the Arctic Ocean. We won't be screening the entire film during the press conference, but during COP25, if you want to watch the film at all, it's exclusively provided here on the Youth Climate Report map. Okay? So every year, the Youth Climate Report curates most of its videos from a competition that's run by the United Nations Climate Change Secretariat called the Global Youth Video Competition. And each year, series of categories are provided for the youth filmmakers to follow in creating a 3 to 5 minute video for the competition. They're generally broken down into land, biodiversity, and climate. And this year, the 3 categories that the students worked with were balancing use for land and people and ecosystems, nature-based solutions for human health, and finally, cities and local action to combat climate change. These were the themes that the students were asked to make their films within. So we had about 500 entries this year from all over the world. And what we did is we shortlisted each category to the top 20. And those 20 films were added to the Youth Climate Report map. The winning films, which will be celebrated on December the 5th here, were made by these three talented young filmmakers. The first one is Raquel Gallo Silva. She's from Portugal, and her film was called Ocean Alive. The second was a filmmaking team of Rafael Forceto and Cayenne Assis. They're from Brazil, and their film was called What is Agroecology? And the third winner was Callie Brodus from the United States, and her film was called The Youth Land Trust. So this year, you saw multiple colors of the pins on the map. Each color represents a different year. So this year, we had more than 400 videos on the Youth Climate Report GIS project, and more than 60 films were uploaded this year. They're designated by the purple pins. So if you want to see the films made this year, look for the purple pins. Pins also contain the following metadata: the names of the filmmakers, the titles of the films, the location by country and longitude and latitude coordinates, links to additional scientific data related to the content of each film, and finally, the years of production. This is important for temporal analysis if you're comparing the films to each other. And that brings us to the film that we have here today. It's called Happening to Us, and it was made by the talented filmmakers sitting beside me here. And before we get to meet them, I'd like to show you a trailer of their film. So this is it, Happening to Us.
Have you noticed any changes since
Well, there's been a lot of changes. We get late freeze up in the fall, like we used to travel, start driving dogs over the ice in the middle of September. In October, we used to build igloos.
Every year it's different. Like it can get warm, or it can get very cold. The water sea level has risen a little bit ever since I was 13. Like I looked at the ocean sometimes when I was 13, 14, 15 to 19. Water level has been getting higher and higher.
Well, I've noticed that there's less beach to walk on, and there's a lot of permafrost melting. You can see here, there's a lot of erosion happening.
At that time, the shoreline was way out and I had no problem driving the vehicle over and behind my house. But now, in 2015, 3 storms took most of it, close to about 20 feet off of it. And it's just been getting worse and worse ever since.
Those are things that I go to bed worrying about, whether or not there are going to be char in 40 or 50 years in Nunavut, or what's going to happen to our caribou. And these are all linked to climate change, and so that's what really drives me to work on behalf of this issue.
I just think that kids should be very aware of climate change, and I think that we should all take it serious because we are the next generation and we could make a change in the world. People may doubt us, but it's what we have the power to do anything. Like what my dad Eddie always said, have determination and effort and nothing will be impossible. So yeah, just be aware and prepared.
I like your words, Ariel.
Thank you.
Great.
Standing ovation.
Thanks, guys. That's a wonderful trailer. So there's some screenings that are being planned during the conference. There was one yesterday. I don't know if you happened to catch that, but that was at the Indigenous Peoples Pavilion in the Green Zone. And coming up on December 5th, from 13:15 to 14:45 in room 3 at the Inuit Circumpolar Council. There'll be another screening of the film in its entirety. There will probably be some others. We might hear about that a little later. So here are the filmmakers that have joined us today. I'd like you to meet. First of all, we have Maeva Gauthier. She was one of the producers of the film. She's from the University of Victoria, BC, Canada. And Ariel Lucht, camera operator, sound recordist, and interviewer from Tuktoyaktuk. And Carmen Kaptana, camera operator, sound recordist, and interviewer, again from Tuktoyaktuk. Daryl Tedjuk, camera operator, sound recordist, and interviewer from Tuktoyaktuk. Nathan Kaptana, camera operator, sound recordist, and interviewer from Tuktoyaktuk. And finally, Yarrow Malinowski, over here, producer, director, and editor of the film from Avatar Media in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So I'm just going to pass this over now to Maeva to explain the history of the project.
Thank you so much, Mark, for the opportunity of being here and to the UN Youth Climate Report. We are really grateful to be a part of the Inuit Circumpolar Council delegation here at COP25. It's an amazing opportunity for everybody to be here and share the youth voices from Tuktoyaktuk and how they're impacted by climate change. I'm Maeva Gauthier from the University of Victoria. I'm a PhD student in a community-based research lab. And through a good friend of mine, Michelle Tomasino at Mangilaluk School in Tuktoyaktuk, we got talking about what the youth were interested in, and filmmaking was an interesting tool. So with Yarrow Malinowski from Edmonton, we went to talk 2 years ago now and met with the youth at the youth center and spent some time talking about what global change topics they were interested in, and climate change was definitely a big topic. So we came back last summer in June and worked hard for many weeks to do interviews in the community, and they did interviews with different community members, and they can tell you more about this. So really, really happy to be here. Thank you so much. And I will pass the microphone to the youth to introduce themselves and also share anything you want to share and why you're interested in being at COP25. Thank you. Daryl, you want to go? Yeah. Daryl, do you want to start?
Hello, my name is Daryl Tedjuk. I'm from Tuktoyaktuk. The reason I got in this to film, there is not much to do in a little town in Tuktoyaktuk.
Hello, my name is Ariel Liu, and I'm from Tuktoyaktuk, and I think that, in my perspective, climate change is really important to our culture, and through this process of making the film, I realized and I got more knowledge that climate change is a very serious act, and it's affecting our future generations, and that's not supposed to be how supposed to be, because like in the past our parents went to residential school and they got what was taken away from them by the people who came there. And for me to do this film, we are giving the succeeding in what they lost from being silent in residential schools. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nathan Guptana, also from Tukdiaktuk. The reason why I wanted to come to COP25 is to show what is happening to our community, and climate change is affecting our culture, like a big effect. I wanted to get the word out there. Climate change is an actual thing, it's not a hoax. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Carmen Kaptana. I'm from Tukdiaktuk. And the reason I wanted to come to COP25 because, like Nathan said, I wanted people to be aware that climate change is not only ruining the land, but infecting like how we do our culture in cultural ways. And with the process of the film, I really enjoyed it. Like Daryl said, there's nothing really to do besides do our cultural stuff, so it was very interesting to try something new and actually share what we care about and what young people want to see changed in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. That's great. Now, as you saw from the trailer, one of the major themes that you'll notice in the film is the specific impact of climate change on that community is through erosion. Because it is a coastal community, a lot of the ground is just deteriorating away and running the risk of having some of the homes that are close to the water fall into the sea. So that's one of the biggest issues. And the reason this film came about, I believe, was after many of the filmmakers here participated in a film lab. Is that correct?
Yeah, film workshop. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was a film lab workshop, and it was a great way to introduce them to the medium and to use film as a method of telling their story to people far outside of the Tukdiaktuk community. And the Youth Climate Report is a big supporter of film lab workshops. We're conducting one ourselves called the Planetary Health Film Lab. It's an intensive one-week workshop in which participants learn to make environmental documentaries. They're going to be short in nature, specific to the Youth Climate Report project, and be premiered every year here at the COP conferences. The Film Lab is going to feature seminars provided by professional filmmakers and academic scholars. This year we have participants representing 11 different countries, and all expenses are paid for the participants. They're going to be flown in from around the world. Flights, accommodations, and meals will be covered. The completed projects will be uploaded to the Youth Climate Report GIS project, and all this begins for the first time at York University in Toronto, Canada, February 16th to 2020. We hope to be doing this every 2 years, so we have a nice bank of not only films for the upcoming conferences, but also sending out into the world young filmmakers with the skills that they need to continue to provide conferences like this with the visible evidence of climate change in their own communities. So if you want to find out more about the Youth Climate Report, here's some links. This is the map. The website for the Youth Climate Report is here. Our Facebook, of course, is there. Our Twitter account, and our email, and our research website. There's actually 2 of those. So they're all on the screen now. Probably the best way is to take a picture with your phone like you did, because there's a lot to write down there. And these are the various partners of the Youth Climate Report. So thank you very much for your attention. We now have some time for questions. If anybody has questions of myself or any of the members here, that would be great. Yes?
Is there a microphone?
Microphone's coming.
Thanks so much. It's an incredible trailer, and I wanted to ask the youth, what was your favorite part of the filmmaking? Because you did the sound recording and the interviews, so did you have a favorite part during the whole process?
My favorite part was just like spending time like with these guys and actually going out on the land, just spending time on there, and it was nice. And to see like how many young youth were interested, and it was just very nice to be productive and do something active.
Yeah, it was good to learn how to work in an experience in a workplace with other people, to work together.
My favorite part was doing the whole thing, because you got a lot to learn with Yarrow and Mava, and my favorite part of the whole filming is interviewing Boogie, because he told stories from way back in the day, and he told us that it's sure changed in the past 30, 20 years.
Yeah, what Nathan said, my favorite parts about Boogie and come together at the end of the day. Yeah, thank you.
And really just, I think for all of us, at the end of the day, we all felt really productive, and we were all, we gathered together at the table, and we were all really happy and just felt really good about what we were doing.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, over here.
Hello, I'm Karthik I'm from Mumbai. I wanted to ask whether the film was screened in the community itself, and what was the type of awareness about climate change that people already had, specifically the people that the team interviewed. And I look forward to watching the film at the next screening. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We couldn't hear you. Can you repeat that, please, and thank you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm Karthik, I'm from Mumbai. My question was about how, when you all interviewed the people there, was there already an awareness about climate change and the reasons why the things were happening? And has the film been screened in the community place itself?
So has the film been screened in the community itself?
Yes.
And were the people that you interviewed already aware of climate change before you interviewed them?
Yes, because our elders, they knew what was happening like 40 or 30 years ago, and they noticed how the land was changing, and they kind of predicted what was going to happen to Tuk. And people were aware, but they didn't really do anything because back then they still didn't believe in climate change. And the community seen it, and they really liked it, and they were really happy for us to actually let our voice come out and show and tell them what we think is what's happening and how it's affecting us.
And what Boogie said during the interview is that he heard it on talk on the radio about things happening down south, about the mining and all that, and he kind of knew that that was just the beginning of nothing good. But it was all new to him back then.
The elders back home they realized that climate change is going to happen due to Boogie said in September, the trees used to go black or used to go white with the snow. The next day it would melt, and he said that was the evidence of climate change happening. And elders nowadays tell us, our generation, that we're lucky we're not living in -40 or -30.
because we wouldn't survive, they say. Wouldn't handle it.
And the film was screened in Tuktoyaktuk, yes?
Oh yes, it was filmed.
What was the reaction to the people there that saw it?
They were all really proud of us.
Yeah, they were pretty proud.
That's great. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. Any other questions? Yeah, we have one over here. Go ahead.
Well, maybe just a remark. I'm Thomas from the Netherlands, and I think you guys should be really proud of yourself. It's great that you gave your communities a voice, and thanks for being here.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.